Great. Record. Okay, well, what is the value navigator? It is a struggle. It is a struggle. My role M&E came around, and the struggle I've seen is that while we're going into self-organization, we're carrying a lot of understandings from hierarchical context with us. What do I mean with this? Well, I just have here the documents. Let's just open it in the classroom, then maybe it's even easier to find. We just go in the value navigator, and it is the first section. It's the classwork. The first classwork gets started, theory input. So what is actually the problem? From my current understanding in M&E, it's kind of self-organization in here inherently is built around creating value, and not value as a gut feeling, but value as a numeric understanding. So if you would think about what could be a really effective system for an organization to create value, to make it visible, to make it specific, that's where self-organization as a concept originated from. However, when I go into my role M&E and I speak with people about measuring impact or having a numeric understanding of value, they're saying, oh, it's too complex. And I see here that that's weird, because we're having a deep underlying aspect in self-organization, which says, hey, you as a role holder, you need to prioritize. I can just take it up here in the Constitution. You need to prioritize the next action steps according what you find or what you think would create the most value for the organization. Yeah, that's why you empower role. That's your duty of needs to be around 3. Expressing work here. You need to prioritize your attention. Whenever you have time available in a role, you are responsible for considering the next action you could take and execute whichever you believe would add the most value to the organization. And here, one needs to understand, in your role, you don't have a gut feeling. In your role, you are trying to serve. There is a feeling you have from experience you've done before. But if you speak about prioritization, you cannot say one feels good, the other one doesn't feel as good. It's about, if I select now doing this, this one will train 4 people. If I do this, this will train 3 people. So I will select the one which trains 4 people. Like a comparison, a rating can only be done if you have a numerical understanding. The other one is comparing apples with bananas. That's not a way to do it. So if when I understood this from my role M&E, I realized we can do whatever we want in order to set up external evaluation structures. But the only thing what we will encounter over and over again is that the external evaluation structures will say, please describe me, what are you doing? Please tell me the complexity of your engagement. And here, especially when we look into the context of having seen us out there, who we told that they should adjust the work we kind of hand them over towards their necessary surrounding conditions. Yeah, well, at the end, we would need to set up and maintain continuously external evaluation means. So on a long run, self-organization itself is a way to structure and make specific and transparent the value created, but it doesn't start externally. It starts within us as partners. And here I created, therefore, for the partners in this organization, I created this app and the value navigator training, or this value navigator training. It's a Google Classroom, and it's supposed to help you as a role filler to better be able to understand what means numeric value. What is it in self-organization? How the organization adjusts itself for a better or more effective value creation. It is based out of different sessions. Session One is basically breaking with limiting beliefs. I mean, you can just connect to elements like owning a metric was reporting a data. In a hierarchical organization, somebody would say, dear employee, I'm your boss, please give me that number. And your employee would say, my boss wants this number. In self-organization, that doesn't work. As soon as a number doesn't make logical sense and or it doesn't find input in your decision taking from your role, well, it's not a metric anymore because it's not relevant to the process. We own metrics as roles. We do not inherit them and or get them dictated. We take them up consciously and or we drop them consciously because we say they do not make sense anymore. So there's a lot of misunderstandings we carry forward. This is the first one. The second one is kind of after we set our mind suitable for self-organization as a concept, we now go into simple practical exercises. I encountered that it's hard for role holders to say, what is actually my role dealing with? That might be either something, an impact you want to create amongst external people, like scholars, trainers, mentors, whatever, or it's something you try to do within the organization. But whatever kind of is underlying of both works is you need to get or you need to be able to structure your understanding of reality. This is highly subjective. It's you as a role filler. It's not me. Yeah. So I'm providing here tools to structure your understanding of the challenge you're facing, which is here the problem tree. Then it's the solution tree. And then afterwards, that's something I think I'm quite happy about. It's how can you start to argue from your role that you create value, and what is it? What do you feel? What are the quantifications? Like, what is it specifically, the value you're creating? How can you structure it for your role? Because if you structure it, well, you can also report it as a metric and other people can build on that information. As well as you have it specific and you can say, well, this training helped me to train 4 people and this helped me to train 3 people. So next time I'll rather do the one with 4. And then the next one, and that's something which is still under progress and will develop with more participants, is the automation of or to automate the collection of metric. Here it's mainly to kind of how can we set ourselves reminders and automate parts of the metric collection in order not to kind of lose ourselves continuously in work and then after a while realize, oh shit, I wanted to track something. Because you need information when you want to make a decision, and if you want to need to make a decision to start then to search for information, that's too late. Cool. I think that's an overview, and I would hand over to you to your questions.
Okay, so maybe my question is because I'm trying to look at the calendar. Is this only for a specific focus area, or it can be implemented, or I don't know, being reached by any role, all role holder, if case it's important? Besides a circle.
Like from my current understanding, everything which is in the Value Navigator app is only under the context of self-organization in the self-organized context. So anything integration circle up downwards, there it's something which helps you as a role holder to be able to more consciously fill your role. However, I would say the underlying skill is something you can practice in every role. I would, however, say from the training aspect, it's enough if you go through it with one role. But how can I say? Let's take a simple example. A circle lead has the accountability to monitor fit and reassign partners to roles. Well, according to the Constitution, he's not allowed to judge what the role holder is doing. Yeah, because the role has authority to decide up on its own steps next time. Yeah. So the circle lead can only judge basing on outputs. What are outputs? Well, that's defined. Outputs or outcomes are defined in the Constitution as projects, basically accomplished projects, projects you're holding, and basically metrics reported. And so what I feel at the moment, the relevance for this training is there in every single role. In every role, you're currently not seeing regular metrics coming up in every one of those roles, the training has relevance towards the role holder, because we're failing ourselves. We're afraid to get specific about the value we're creating. Potentially, we're afraid to be judged against it. Potentially, we are afraid to get specific on it. I myself have problems to do it, but not doing it basically is practicing self-organization. And this would also be compatible to holacracy, just from the freedom side, not from the responsibility side. Your role does not, it gets the authority to do whatever you need to do to follow your purpose. But well, you also have a responsibility, for example, a duty to prioritize whatever you feel, what I just outlined in the Constitution. Or you have a duty to outline a relative priority. Another role holder comes to you and says, what are you working on? You say, I have project A, I have project B. Well, then the other role has a right to ask you which one is at the moment having a higher priority for you. Now, if you do not have an understanding kind of why one has a higher priority than the other, it's hard to share that. And so this kind of meta level, this understanding what is your role dealing with? What is the problem you're tackling? How are you approaching it? And how do you define if you create value, and what is that value? That's something inherent in every role. End of input, back to Emil.
Yeah, thank you. I think I got it. Yeah, maybe some other people have questions.
Yeah, I think now, like personally, I get the picture, and then I understand, because when I received the link to join, then I joined, and I was like, oh, what is this? And then trying to understand was a little bit complex, but however, right now I can wrap my head around and then see where it's going. Yeah.
And so, Philip, when
yeah.
we get, so this folder, we get it, so we get this in the folder MNE, right?
I mean, I copied the training itself. If you search it, I can post it as I can put the link as, I think I put it already. Let me just take the link here. Class code, display class code, copy invitation link. Maybe the easiest to find it for you is I just drop it under the M&E role as a shared document, because it's a Google Classroom, and the Google Classroom is not the Google Drive. It's not a folder, but I can just share it here, and I can say documents, and I can see here value navigator, value navigator classroom link. And so you can just join it there, but I also send out invitations to all of your email addresses.
I think that's easier then, in case just one forget, then yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you can see here the people at the moment, those are there, and then they went an email out to you, but for example, you did not respond to it. That's how it's displayed at the moment. But even there, if you have any questions, please get in touch with me. Feel free.
Awesome.
And I think what is especially interesting about it, from my understanding at the moment, like what I try to do is kind of really have, and that kind of challenged me, to have theory inputs, to have practical exercises, and in each of them, there's also an assignment, a quiz you can do. And I think, yeah, and I think those quizzes will help you. Those quizzes will really help you to deepen your understanding, and it will just make it easier to learn. Yeah. Is there at the moment another question? If there is no other question yet, then I would just shortly go in a checkout, and then afterwards upload the recording, and then wait for people to join the Google Classroom. Emil?
Yep. yeah, I think maybe before we end, maybe just is another simple question. Are there assignments or
Yes.
three?
Yes, every
Assignments?
single, if you go to classwork, it has always a quiz down, and there's always written in here, like it's just logically captured. 0 theory input, and each theory input just has a small quiz below. Yeah.
Oh, good.
And there's always small assignments, creating yourself a problem tree, creating yourself impact staircase. They're all under each exercise there is an assignment and of input.
Okay, thank you. No, that makes sense. Yeah. So my checkout is here. Yeah, thank you for the quick overview. I've written this for myself. I want to plan my schedules so I can have this set weekly, depending. But yeah, I think it's important for myself in the lab. I think the first part there, I would say owning your metrics, and then there it takes you to really great reporting than waiting for the other hierarchy perspective where you have to submit it. And this means you do it on pressure, you don't know what you're doing, you just have to submit, but it's important owning them. So I've gone through it somehow with you before, but I think I shared with you that I still want to have my own time ready to go through and understanding slowly. And I'll plan and do that. And maybe the lastly is that I still I was starting enjoying the conversation I had prior with you before we started meeting officially. So I've sent you a request tomorrow. If you have some time in the afternoon, you'll see that we could still continue the conversation, because I think from collective I still have some more input checkouts.
Cool. Moses?
Yeah, thank you, Philip. I think this looks like it shortens time to train, and that you have to be there to think the elaboration is very crucial. Looking forward to looking at it further and check out. Thank you.
Wonderful. John?
Yeah, I think as I had mentioned before, like when I accepted the invitation, I think I landed on the stream tab of the Google Classroom, and then I was like I was a little bit lost, but now I see and I trying to understand. I think I'll go through it, and then and then take it from there. I like the fact that there are quizzes at the end of each topic, which helps to understand more what you have learned. Yes, and thanks for organizing the session. Check out.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm looking really forward to see this going forward. I hope that we can find the governance and the numeric understanding of value as something which unites us and helps us to speak with one another, to get specific and to work together, and not to kind of build up self-awareness. What is it, what my role wants to do? How can I see what is happening there? Also potentially help roles to argue better about what they do and why they find it necessary to do what they do. So it's also an opportunity for kind of pushing the people context a bit out of the role, rather better understanding what does the role need, having the argumentation there. If somebody comes and says, does this weight from my perspective, this and this is more necessary. However, look at it. How do you see it? Can I incorporate it in my current understanding? Really working better together. And yeah, I'm looking forward for this, because living the freedom part of self-organization without following up on the duty of structuring and being aware and prioritizing, it's half the game. And it kind of limits our capacity to use the system effective. End of input, over and out. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Moses.